but I'm
So I was
fixing to
hoping we'd
be.
take up more time, and that way we didn't have to talk about command climate survey, but we do. It's out there. Hey, you got how many have not been through a command climate survey before? Yeah. Hey, can we congratulate Miss Jen Britos for selection to Army War College Distance Education?
Woo!
I haven't had a chance to say congratulations, and so I just wanted to say that real quick, make sure everybody, you're in for an awesome time. We'll talk. It's a good deal. Hey, command climate survey. So, I've been around for a little bit. I've gone through one of these at least. Most likely two of those at least in every command level that we served at, right? So, troop level, command, squadron, etc. Both good and bad. So just like any other surveys, whether it's a housing survey, whether it's you're taking a customer service survey for Toyota or something, right? So you take the good stuff, you take the bad stuff, and really, to be honest, the things that are important to me are the trends and the stuff that kind of falls in the middle. And so as I read through these things, I look for, one, it's a litmus test for the organization, right? So I want to know, hey, what are our processes? Are they good? Are they bad? How does the command feel about their safety? Trust in the organization's leadership, and you'll see the trends there in the questions that we laid out. But more importantly, what's the climate? What's the feeling for the employee workforce? There's always something that you can glean from it, but I'd ask you, and I'd have asked I haven't talked individually yet to the directors, but as I read through these, I don't take them personal, right? They are what they are, but I do take them serious. And when I start seeing things like one or two comments from our employees that are matching each other, that's when I go, okay, hey, it's just not a pissed off person from, whatever one day. And same thing with the other guy on the other side. If he's, hey, it's a great place to work, and my boss is amazing. And if I only see one of one, okay, I kind of throw those out, and then I go back to, hey, really, what's in the middle? What's the trends? Am I seeing those repetitive comments? And that's what I really focus on. So we're going to highlight some of those. But before we do that, I'll give you the background on how this works, and please step in and cut me off when I'm screwing this up.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. So that's the purpose. I kind of talked that piece. That's just a doctrinal piece that Parsheen put in for us. Next slide. So who participated? This kind of sucks in here, so you can't see the highlights. We can't change ours. It's okay, XO. Don't freak out. We can't do anything about it. We're good.
It's the projector.
Hey, how many participants do we have? 343. You can see the difference between the supervisor and non-supervisor pieces. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kind of highlighted there. Next slide. Hey, so these are the questions. I'll let you go over those. So AEO sat down with me, said, hey, what are the questions that you want answered? And we could type those in, we could make them up, and there was a list of questions that we could choose from. And this is what we chose. One of the important ones, and it's the one that had to fill in the blank. I'm looking for it. I'm encouraging and empowered to take actions.
Should be the next one.
Okay, it's the next slide. Next slide. There it is, short answer. Yeah. So, wanted to take an opportunity to highlight some of our awesome employees in here and say, hey, well, who's the guy that sticks out, right? Who's the supervisor that sticks out in your mind, in your organization, your level, that says, hey, you know what? They're not only abiding by Army values here, but they set the example for others. They set good conditions, and I'm a proud member of their team, whether that's a peer, supervisor, or even a subordinate, right? And we've got some great feedback there. The goodness in that, it was truly all over. And so we didn't have the same name listed over and over. It was almost like 2 or 3 from each department, which was pretty good. And then we had, the second question was kind of like an umbrella. Hey, if we miss anything out there, is there anything you'd like to share that you want me to know about, Sergeant Major to know about the organization? We had some great comments. This feels like a family was one, great place to work, happy environment, very low stress environment. That was actually several comments. So there was some goodness. Next slide. Okay, so now this is where we spent most of my discussion, which you should, right? Because you want to get better. When we were at Hunter Army Airfield. Perception that leadership is not addressing customer concerns. And so the way I kind of broke this out at Hunter, right? So we're all one team. Let's talk. Let's rip it off. Let's see how we can get better. So I'll give you my interpretation of that. And then what I'm missing, and you don't have to say, hey, I wrote that. And then you give me your interpretation, or if I'm missing anything, we kind of share it with the team here, okay? And then XO and staff's going to kind of take down those notes and talk about the way forward. So, perception that leadership is not addressing customer concerns. How I took that was our customer, right? Soldiers, families, and even when I say civilians, retirees and veterans, the customers that we serve here at Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Airfield, the resources that we provide. The concerns that we were pulling back resources, because there had been talk of, hey, we're going to dismantle or do away with our SVAC programs, or our continue to degrade ACS programs in general. We're not hiring as many people, or we're not hiring back as many people due to rifts in certain directorates, whether that's DES or the other directorates out there. So that's how I kind of took it, and I didn't really know how to address it as a way ahead. Yeah, I'll open it up with that. So, comments? We're not addressing customers' concerns. We, as in the leadership. Was I missing something here?
Are you any specifics, sir? We're pretty sensitive to ice.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So a lot of the comments, so when it says the perceptions, a lot of comments are directed towards customer concerns. So like the Colonel said, some of the programs and the things that have been provided being pulled back, some individuals may believe that we're not necessarily addressing the issues that they bring up to leadership. So somehow it gets to leadership and then it goes away, or the leadership is too busy to really pay attention to their concerns. So that's just some of the answers of feedback on the actual climate survey that speaks to that.
Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
That's right. I mean, I go back to your definition of customer. You talk about your internal customer, which is the workforce, or your external customer, which is the customers they serve. I think, based on some of the climate prior to your arrival, it may have been the views after going through a rift and all that they were looking at, some of the workforce may have been looking at themselves as a customer of the headquarters, right? In the way the command was, dealing with some of those situations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not seeing all the results.
So you're exactly right, and I've talked to our student about it, but a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, back then. A few comments was directly in reference to the DPW reorganization. And obviously that would not all completed by the time I came in, excuse me. But the comments were, hey, that was detrimental, hey, that will be enduring, the issues that we caused with that reorganization, and no one is listening. So that was some there, but then I go back to, I was looking at customers external, if you use that piece. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe we didn't pick that up. And that's what I kind of want to do, is generate some discussion. Maybe it's both. But that was the, hey, you're not listening to customers' concerns. Yes?
The same thing, the same note Mr. Allman had there, sir, because as an employee, I can only give secondary or hearsay of what I think an external customer is feeling and it's not getting up.
Sure.
When the whole purpose of this, through your command or anybody's command, is to get the feedback from your customers,
Right.
us.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so the outside external, it's hard if our workforce is saying that the command is not supportive of other external, it's hard to pinpoint that. So it's like an ice comment. It's benign.
See, the beauty of the climate survey is that it gives an individual an opportunity to voice their concerns. But the bad part, the side of that is that people are not very specific when they make these comments. So they may say, hey, we're not addressing customer concerns, but there's no add-on to that. There's no backdrop or no background on who the customer is, whether it's internal or external. So what happens oftentimes is the colonel is left with who is my customer? So he has to look at it from his perspective of who the customer is. So oftentimes, a good point that Mr. Ullman brought up is the internal customer, the employee, but also, what about the external customer? Especially the external customer being Hunter Army Airfield, the communications between Hunter. They may feel like, hey, our concerns are not being heard. Or not only Hunter Army Airfield, but individuals on this installation that receive our support.
So let's take it by this. I got you all here for a reason, right? So you're my customers, just as you said. So if I take it with that definition, can someone help me out? Is there any perceptions out there that you could help me better understand maybe? That says leadership's not listening to our employees, if I framed it in that way?
Could it be an impact in, as we go through and consolidate and reduce certain services that we have to make cutbacks? So is it somebody voicing the concern that we've still got a small customer base out there that wants this service and we're pulling it back as a garrison because we just can't sustain those full operations? That's
Okay.
So, in my opinion, when we took this survey, there wasn't enough time for anybody to see your vision and how you influence change. So I'm not really even sure, maybe 6 months from now or whatever, if you did another survey,
Yeah.
you may see different. Because right now, the impacts that your vision and the way you're doing battle rhythm, you're just now establishing that. So that's not even, I don't even see this as a result of your command.
No, sure. What I was looking for here, Tom has a great leeway, is what are the things that are, no kidding, require immediate, and I'll show you a couple of them that I got to fix right now, that requires immediate leadership attention that says we have not screwed this up. We have not applied resources that I think we should have, and I gotta focus on it. So, hey, let's. The only other comment I was going to put on that, we'll get rolling here, was, hey, brown bag lunches. You guys familiar with the brown bag lunches, right? So I haven't canceled them, but I'm kind of real close to stop putting it on my calendar. And here's why. So I did it like 3 times. I think we did it 3 times. The first 3 times we did it, I had the same individuals show up. There was a little bit of discussion. First time it was like, awesome, hey, let's get started. A lot of questions, a lot of discussion. Second time, same individuals show up, and it was pretty much, they were waiting for me to give more guidance. And it was like, okay, brief me. And everyone was there to take notes. And I'm like, no, this is a question my policies, question my vision, question why we're making changes, let's have a discussion. And so I kind of put that out. And then when I walked around, did like a supervisor engagement in the next place, like I quickly realized that all the things I had discussed in brown bag had not been pushed out. That was the purpose of the brown bag, right? They were a spokesman for the directorates as your representatives. That's how I kind of viewed it, where they were supposed to disseminate those questions that we sent out to the workforce. Help me send that message out. And it wasn't done to anywhere. Next brown bag was kind of the same thing. The 4th brown bag, like no one showed up. So I was like, okay. So they wanted to see the new guy, ask him a few questions, and then everyone was kind of like, hey, I'm not interested. That's okay, but is it worthwhile? Is it an avenue that I can use, to continue to address customer service? Jen, please.
So being one of the more new kids on the block, I don't know, is brown bag by invitation? Is it an open call? Do you need to notify? How does that process work?
So in the past, it had been invitation, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys jump up. It had been by invitation. When I came on board, I said, I'm throwing it on my calendar, let's put it out, if you would like to attend.
It's always been open.
It's always been open, yeah.
We had, at one point, we had targeted, we tried it at his approach of a couple directorates at one time. And then we didn't get the
Yeah.
populace coming, so we just opened it up and just did everybody come at once. And it's open to the entire workforce.
Hey, look, so here's,
Well, non-supervisor, yeah, non-supervisor.
okay, perfect, because there's confusion, that's what I like. I'm gonna set it straight. So, non-supervisors, it's open to any employee, and I will keep it on the calendar, okay? There is no set agenda. If you wanna come out and talk about whatever, you can talk about hunting, fishing, or college football. I'm gonna talk about that. Or you can talk about, hey, what's going on in the workplace, which is really what I really want to talk about, right? And so, hey, what's the future? What's the vision? How do you see the installation? Hey, what are some questions of the Army? Because I heard some changes coming down from the chief. I might not know the answer, but I'm probably give it a shot. We can have some discussions about it. That's kind of what I want it to be. It's I won't say open door policy, because if you want to voice your concerns and voice your gripes, complaints, perfect. We can do that too, and hopefully we can answer those. My wingman is always there with me, if she can be there on the calendar, and we'll do that. So I'll keep it on the calendar. We'll see if we can re-energize that as supervisors, right, and put that out there. But if it doesn't, then I have other stuff I can put on the calendar and kind of move it, right? So I'd ask you to go back, but don't. If an employee wants to show up, like they can be a note taker, yes, that's perfect, but have something to contribute or ask me a question or let's have a discussion. That's what I want them there for. I can put notes out in other meetings. I don't have to waste our time with doing that. Okay, hey, perception, lack of communication between Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. Yes, true. So I got here about 6 months ago, and I'll be honest, I'm like, what in the hell is that command structure? And I know the directors have heard me say this over and over. Totally confused, right? So I'm a combat arms officer. It's very regimented, very line and block structure. Commanders, if you have the title commanders, above the rank of captain, you have a staff. Dedicated staff that works for you. You have a dedicated framework. It's not what happens at Hunter. Under the one installation, 2 garrison, mutual support, splitting directorates in some areas, tagging individuals and supervisor roles, supervisors split between here and Hunter, boggles my mind. And it boggles my mind not because, well, somewhat probably because I'm slow a little bit, but the more important part is that's just not the way the rest of the Army runs. You have a very linear type organization, right? And so I struggled with that a little bit. And where it comes back to was resources. And the command team at Hunter, same, cut from the same mold. Lieutenant Colonel Escobar and I, both armor officers, both come from CAV background. Very, here's the way the Army runs, what are your questions? And so when you put both of us together in the room, and I'm like, hey, Dave, here's my intent, I'll see you on the high ground. And he comes back and goes, yeah, but you own DPW, ACS, DHR, all of it, and if I tell them what to do, they look at me like I'm a unicorn because they work for you, not me. And I'm like, what the hell's the problem? No, you have your own staff, Dave, goodbye. Quit bothering me. Go away. That's how I viewed it for the first couple weeks, man. Totally wrong. So directors educated me a little bit. Staff has helped me understand the friction points, and we've made some changes. How I changed it was enforcing and kind of changing my battle rhythm a little bit. And I say my battle rhythm, but domino effect, right? Waterfall effect, it obviously affects your world. And so when I look at communication changes, and you're probably right, Tom, this was taken a little bit further back. So when I came in, I had too many meetings. I did not have time to make decisions, and really honestly to think. There was no maneuver space, as I like to look at it. It was going from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, and then at night I try to catch up on email. That doesn't work for me. I got to have time to talk to people, understand the problem, and then apply resources, and then go to the next meeting. That's just the way I work. And so, but I had to maintain communication. We're not there yet. And so I forced several meetings to occur, and I did away with the rest. Focusing on face-to-face dialogue and deliberate discussions at director level and topic level. The other stuff, I hope directors and supervisors, as it goes down, have felt that they are empowered. Because I do not need to know about everything that goes on. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm never going to be. That's why we have directors, and that's why we have supervisors. And so as I saw a lot of those meetings, it could be powered down to the director level, and you give me the Exxon. And so that was kind of my intent. That allowed a little bit more, in my mind, communication and understanding where I could focus those resources with Hunter and kind of bring a one team, one fight mentality back a little bit. The other piece on that was I saw when I first came in that Hunter I don't know if neglected the word. It wasn't a fair look. And I used DPW as an example. So for those of you that go down to Hunter, you'd notice a distinct difference if you look. Will got this. But the streets weren't cleaner than Fort Stewart. They weren't as clean as Fort Stewart. The grass in certain areas it wasn't cut and trimmed. The buildings weren't maintained to the standard. Well, because this is the flagpole, right? And they don't have as many people, and they don't have, yeah, but there's certain things that should have been, in my mind, pushed a little bit further. And so, as I look for reallocation of those things, that's what I looked at. And then I re-examined services, MWR. And that took some education from me with the team up there. So, yeah, that was a long answer, and I didn't mean to turn it into a monologue, but totally concur. Not a lot of communication on that, because Lieutenant Colonel Escobar was driving out like a high-speed cab officer. I gave him some intent, and he was moving the hell out, which is what I told him to do. But I had to pull him back a little bit and had to provide him some resources to ensure that actually that we're actually making some traction. Check. Good? Understand? Questions? Throw the bullshit flag or no? Okay. Try it. Oh, someone's awake. Okay. Perception of favoritism throughout Garrison. Hey, I'm not asking you to raise your hand and go, hey, yes, I see a perception because so-and-so got selected and I didn't, or whatever. But I assume that was the comments as I kind of read through them. That certain individuals were being looked at for awards or promotion or different jobs in general, and they weren't. I would say that anytime you do a command comment survey in any organization, that bullet comment will come in. And it requires context behind it, right? And so in any organization that I've ever been in, I see a couple of heads agreeing with me, but you have certain individuals that go, I'm the baddest dude, I'm the best in here, period. I am. And they know it. And then when they get not selected or don't get the award or don't get the bonus, then they are not very happy about it. That's true. You can not be happy about it, but there's a reason why you didn't get selected. There's other people that are competing that also believes that they're the best. And so, it's just, when you got a team of all-stars in here, then someone's gonna believe that there's a perception of favoritism. It's probably a really sucky answer, but that's kind of how I saw it. Any comments? No? Nothing? All right. We have to go to football. Okay. In my organization, there was favoritism and double standards. And I think that just highlighted that piece. Yeah, those are just the examples of the piece there. The next slide is the positive ones, right? Okay, and go back. Yep, that's good. Keep that there. Okay, a little bit about me. I told you so. I got thick skin, man. You guys can tell me that I have a face for radio. I got it, man. There were a couple comments on how one was I'm not present for actual decisions, and they didn't know who the Garrison Commander really was. I didn't know how to take that. I don't take it personal. I try to be at every meeting that obviously the decisions should be made. But I will tell you that I have no problem asking my deputy, my command sergeant major, and directors to make decisions on my behalf, especially if I am not here. That's just the way I operate. I power down as much as I can, and I assume as much risk as I can. I'm okay with signing my name on the line, especially if one of you guys go, hey sir, the sky is purple, and I'm going to say, roger that, the sky is purple, man, and we're going to drive on without it. So I'm okay with that. If there's supervisors out there, employees out there that think that I have to be present for every decision or every meeting, then I don't believe I'm leading the organization the way I should. Because if I don't show up tomorrow, I know that all of you will continue to operate and this installation will not implode. So that's kind of my goal, okay? Now, if you don't know who I am, well, go to a building on post. My name is up there and my ugly mug is up there. So take a look at it. And I try to push my base out as much as I can, even though my kids don't enjoy that. So go to the PX, you'll hear my voice. Sergeant Majors. Hey, there was another comment on there that said I only engage employees when we discuss hunting, fishing, and college football. That may be true. All right? It's a perception. It's probably true. But I tell you what, if you come to me and say, hey, boss, we got to talk about annual work plan and where we're putting money on HVACs, I damn sure will make time and sit down and say, first, educate me. Tell me what the problem is. Tell me how I can apply resources. And then what can I do to sign up to go get more that you have not been able to execute on your own. And if you feel that I'm not giving you that time, then you got to grab me by the collar and say, no, bullshit, that's not enough. I need to get in your office. And we need to have a conversation. Now, if you just want to BS, yeah, I'm probably only going to talk about hunting, fishing, and college football. That's who I am. I got no apologies, and I'm not changing. So that's me. Okay. I do encourage you guys to grab me if I have not talked to you and you think that I'm missing something out there, and you feel that you're being, there's a ceiling out there that says, hey, I'm not approachable. Knock on my door. If it's my front office, you do not need an appointment, okay? And please tell the rest of our workforce, you do not need an appointment. XO's shaking his head. But if you're standing out in my office, I'll come outside and say, hey, what's going on? Can I help you? And they'll say, hey, I need to talk to you. Come on in, man. Let's go. If I'm there, okay? Honestly. And then my cell phone's out there, man. So I'm trying to beat those rumors that are out there and that perception. Because that's not who I want to be, and that's not, I want to defeat that, okay? So, want to hit any other negative comments, any things that you guys saw maybe in the command climate survey or that you're picking up on now since we've done that, and it's been a while since that got pushed out. Anything that I missed that we need to kind of address or discuss here at this level?
So we haven't seen that. I haven't seen that survey results.
Didn't we give those to the director?
So I have no idea what you're
Well,
talking about, some of that.
That was the purpose, so you guys couldn't troubleshoot. Well done, brother, well done. All right, that's good. Okay.
Did you see the buses that went by?
Yeah. Maybe this will be short. Okay. All right, so here's some good stuff, man. You know, first when I saw this, I was like, 40%? That is not good. But then I got to look at who the audience is, right? And so 40% of the respondents feel like that they're a part of the family. Hey, I know that some of y'all are, quote, in the grumpy old cub, right? You're just like, I want to come into work, I want to do my job, I want 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or whenever we go home, 9 o'clock, some of you guys at night. And I'm done talking to you people. I want to go home to my real family, my blood family that's here, my wife, my kids, my dog, my cat, my horses, whoever it is, and that's it. I want to turn the key off, and that's why I have this job. Hey, I totally respect that, right? So when I saw that comment, I was like, feels like a family. 40%, I think I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, you know, some of us, they chose this job because it allows them to break away, leave work at work, and when they come in tomorrow and the next day, then they start off and they kick butt for 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever their shift is, and then, you know what, now I'm going to go home and I'm going to rinse this off and focus on being at home and truly being present for my family. And that's how they kind of read that. And so I'm okay with that, and that's why I agree with putting it in the positives. Am I off? No? Yeah? No. Okay. Other people, you know, 60% of you are like, I don't want to have anything to do with his family, and I'm good with it. So I said, okay. The other one that I saw is 41% feels like the people in the organization do an outstanding job in handling short suspenses and tasks. Some, and I'd say, well, I wouldn't say some, majority of the operations that an installation does is repetitive, right? It becomes mundane to some point. And I know others have a short suspense or reaction, whether that's an in SRP, it's a deployment, it's a 4th of July party, it's things that are huge in nature, that require a great deal of planning. And could some, you know, like hurricane response, could be immediate, almost in reactionary. I'm okay with that percentage because I think that's about right for the ones that have to react that quick. So I'd say about 40% of the services that we provide in the installation are reactionary. Whether that's our family support centers, whether that's our you know, financial crisis teams, whether that's DPW, emergency operations, any one of them, I say about 40%. The other 60, it happens on a daily, you know, ID card processings, those kind of things. Those are routine in most portions. So I'm okay with those numbers. 46% are mentally resilient at work. I think that's good. I am worried about the remaining. Right? And so I see 46% as good. But I'm really worried about the reason I'm taking long, I'm doing the math in my head, right? So it's whatever it is, 56, 54. 54. Yeah. 54%, right? Is that right? Yeah. 54% of us are not resilient. Or at least our peers don't believe that we're mentally resilient. What do we need to do? Supervisors? Directors? I can't give you more time off. How do we become more mentally resilient? Okay, so you guys... Jim.
Well, okay, so I'm a new guy, and I didn't see any of this. I'm just starting to get to know my people, so I don't know that I get much of a vote, but there's this resilience isn't the ability to bounce back, okay? That's a ball. Resilience is the ability to come out even stronger. And so I think the way we become resilient on relationships, and it's based on knowing our people, and it's not time off. In fact, oftentimes, time off is the exact opposite of what the person needs, okay? What the person needs is, and some of the old soldiers coming out here, and I get that, and it doesn't work exactly the same way, except it works exactly the same way. Just got to figure out how to do it. They need a pat on the back at the right time, a boot in the butt at the right time, and they need to know that their boss cares. That's what they need. That's what builds a resilient workforce. So I get what you're saying, but I don't buy a boss that checks out at 1600. That doesn't mean that you have to respond instantly. But if you're my boss, and I got a problem, and I can't call you at 2100 or 0200, you're not a very good boss. I'll just say it right here. It's just the way it is. Anybody who's got my phone number can call me anytime they want to. And I don't care if you work for me or don't. I'll do what I can to try to help out. I won't hold your hand, except I'll help you get across the obstacle and make you stronger on the other side. Okay, I'm done. But, okay, that's it. New guy. 3 months from now, I won't feel that way.
Yeah, thoughts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Vote.
What do you guys think?
Yes.
I like it.
I agree with what he said.
What do you think?
So that E on QSE stands for engagement.
Well, I mean, being an educator, that question, is that what like when I did the survey, did I say, I feel I am mentally resilient? So you have to know what the question is. It could be saying, do I feel my peers are mentally resilient? I could say, I feel mentally resilient, but I don't think he's mentally resilient. So,
I think we agree that he's.
well, so you can't, I mean, so you need I would need more clarity on that question, Harsheen.
I'm not quite sure. So, as you probably noticed that the questions in the survey are on a 5-point scale.
Yes.
So I'm not quite sure where that question pinpoints, but when they do the analysis of part of it, when they start putting this, the respondents or responses together, this is what the outcome is. The outcome is, rather an individual feel resilient, do they feel like a team? And I think a lot of those questions come in the operational effectiveness area of the survey.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 that pertain to it, and they take the.
And they take the group,
Yeah.
the outcome of it, and then combine it to rather an individual feel like they're resilient mentally at work.
Sir, there's a lot of people that have some issues going on in their personal life. I consider it a good day when we can get past what they brought into work from home and try and set that aside in order to do our job, because there's crossover there.
Yes, sir.
If they're not feeling mentally resilient, maybe it's something they brought from outside the industry.
And that's any given day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can try and work on, we can't really solve it, but maybe we can make them feel a little better.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I've actually never said any of these engagements, believe it or not. Can you believe it?
First time call.
So, so I'm trying to do math too, and you know, as Jim said, new guy doesn't feel like he has a vote. I didn't take the survey, but because I didn't have time. But you know, I was doing what Chris and I were doing, so I just didn't have time. But I think you know, the number. Look who took it, right?
Yeah.
It was like 20% of the workforce, I think.
24.
Is that what it was? 24%, right? So it's 40, 41, 46% of 20% of the workforce, right? So if 40% of the respondents feel like they're part of a family or they're resilient at work at 46%, think of what the numbers, now obviously it can go the other way, right? But it's possible those numbers could raise, you know what I mean? If you had more people that either completed the climate survey or, you know, had the time or what have you, it would be interesting because I think you would find that collectively your numbers might be even higher than I mean, we all get mad from time to time, but I mean, as across the board, I mean, we're not jacked up, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's what was possible.
Yeah, so I think,
I was looking for the.
oh, no, I'm just saying though, but it
Hunting the
might be
good
over
stuff, man.
50%, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So there was 1,394 passwords that were requested. Out of those 1,394 passwords, the survey was initially put out there for about 3 weeks, and then it was extended for an additional.
I still have time. So.
At the 3-week mark, we were at 319 individual respondents that have taken the survey. So with the extension of the additional week, only about, again, 20-something individuals came through and finished the survey, which is what, I think 23.
So was the majority all supervisors?
No, the majority was actually non-supervisors. So the second, I think third slide said 260-something individuals that were not supervisors. 68 individuals were supervisors.
I liked it. I took it 4 times.
I'm gonna move on. I want you to see these percentages, and we're gonna talk one thing that I gotta get a handle on now. But I just wanted kind of your feedback, your thoughts on those pieces. Okay, next slide. Hey, we're gonna walk through. You're gonna see a couple of these bar graphs. So this is who actually took it. Steve, if you were looking on that piece, you can see. I'm blocking everybody. Step out of the way. Can y'all read those?
No.
I
will send out the slides with the video link.
1 through 12 is junior. Wow.
I'm back to being a junior.
Of course you are. You the XO.
Next slide.
Would y'all like me to read them to you?
No.
No.
Okay, so here's where we're at, right? Concerned about the yellow because it says caution. Here's a good thing, we have no red.
the lights. I don't know.
Okay, but I do have a couple of cautionary areas. First one, organizational processes, right? So you saw how many supervisors took it. You saw the employees on that piece. So you can see where the comment's coming from. So I said,
Well,
There'll be a quiz later to make sure nobody's sleeping.
I will say, I am trying to record this, which it's a little, so talk loud, sir, because they're going to have to just follow your voice.
Okay, too dark?
It's a little too dark.
no, it's
I
okay.
can't see the slides of that.
Oh, you do the backlight.
All right, they don't need to see me, Robin.
Okay.
No, I'm here. Okay, talk loud because the lights are on.
Those of you watching the video, just follow his voice.
You're killing me. Look, organizational processes. So, the first thing I ask is, like Tom said, I was just changing battle rhythm. Stuff rolls down, right? And so, kind of like a cruise ship. The big captain sitting up there in the wheelhouse. I turn the wheel. Hey, I'm sitting up there dumb and happy watching the sunset on the waves. Everyone below, every level that cruise ship goes down, the more seasick you get, right? Especially the harder I turn that thing. And so as I look at that, at what level are we not understanding organizational processes or having, I'm good with that, man. That's not a good idea. Okay. No, that's not awesome.
Here's a question I have.
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't even here, but I can't figure out if I assume 76% organizational performance, that means we're like really, 76% of the people think we're hitting on all cylinders, but half of us think our processes are messed up. That seems like a disconnect to me. I don't understand.
That's why I'm
I
asking.
don't understand how I don't understand those two votes.
And so the question I had was, is it at the director level or is it at your level?
Correct.
So, and in what organizations are we having issues with? I mean, process, excuse me.
Well, if you go back to, it's dark out top. 41% said we're really good at short suspensions.
Yeah.
I think this makes sense, given my having to deal with the Bright Idea Ferry on the division staff who wants to have a huge meeting tomorrow, and that seems to be their new op-tempo. So we are good at short suspensions and short casts. Some of that's just going to happen, that's the Army, but it has gotten progressively worse. And this, since June, I'm not going to say after the other chain of command, but I will go ahead and do that because I've met my retirement age. It's gotten worse, far and get his input, okay, and then make the decision. So in my area, it's a constant problem trying to have the right people at the right place for non-repetitive type tasks. And I think that's what we show.
So is that a, hey, establish the damn battle rhythm and stick to it, Jim?
Well,
For those of you
it's
that
not
don't know
really
what
our
you're
battle rhythm, sir.
It's not our, we're not
It's not
driving.
our battle rhythm.
Yeah.
We're responding to,
No,
I feel like I'm in a movement to contact and my scouts suck. Okay? So,
Okay.
That's a great analogy.
I just kept shooting,
Yeah,
right.
and we did pretty well at that. I don't know that you can influence, I'm just trying to say, if I were looking at that from my perspective, that's how I'd read this chart.
Here, here, Jim.
I
Well-
agree.
Well said.
I see the hand, but I can't see the face.
That's okay. I'm Miss Wright from Transition. I work for DHR.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say is, like, over the years with reduction in force and everything, our bottom line is we got to take care of soldiers. So some of our processes have not changed, but performance, bottom line is we have to take care of soldiers. So we do what we need to do. And then we talk about, oh yeah, we're going to update processes, and slowly we get to that. But sometimes you don't have time to go back. The bottom line is you got to take care of soldiers. You got to make things happen. So you keep performing. Yeah, that's when we develop the efficiencies. Mr. Bean just said it. We just keep it going because we know we pretty much have to take care of what we have to do. So it looks like the processes, yeah, they're old, but the performance, because we are, you know, we're performing and doing what we need to do to take care of
So if I could back brief you to make sure, for possible correction on that. So the systems that we are using, I'll just throw a date, for the last 10 years, are the same systems that we've had. And our customer base has changed, our workforce has changed, which means that our processes are no longer effective. Is that
correct?
No.
And
No.
technology, sir.
I heard some no's.
Technology. Technology is a huge part of organizational processes in today's Army, and Fort Stewart is lacking.
Okay.
And I'm talking about virtual reality. I'm talking about why are we having paper products when we have a presidential proclamation to reduce paper products? We can use QR codes where the soldiers can out-process, and when they come to ACS, they can scan their clearing paper. So the technological piece of organizational processes on an installation needs to be validated and updated. And that goes into all kinds of stuff.
And to top that off, sir, to back that 100% up, we will always perform because our mission is to take care of the soldier and take care of the garrison. But like Bo was saying, sometimes how we get there is a difficult part, but we will always be green. We will always get the mission done. We're mission oriented, but the tools we have, whether it be technology or something outside of your realm, above our pay grade, this whole installation pay grade, that's where the processes that the employees and we see. We're going to get it done, no doubt.
Sir, a good example, like in our office, is like, we're still taking checks to the bank, you know, and that system's not even automated. So we're still getting paper checks, counting them up, putting them in a safe, you know, technology that was 30 years ago, instead of things being scanned and automated in the system, like the rest of the world. So some of that stuff is above us, but we have to get them processed so that we can pay the bills.
Right.
But yet, that's an area where we're talking about organizational processes that are just way
And sir,
outdated.
if I may add one layer, change makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So if you can't change, then the road march is going to pass you. We have to evolve.
Okay, there's a pause there because I'm waiting for the flip side. So what are we missing?
There's a
I'll
definite.
say one thing about change real quick though. If we're all talking about change, change starts in this room. You are all change agents for this organization. And so if we are going to evolve, if we're going to change, it starts right here with everybody that is a leader to be able to sell that change.
Hey, watch your eyes for a minute because I want you guys to see me. I'll let you adjust. You good? Everybody's awake? Plus, I don't want to see you sleeping. So, hey, we're coming up on an hour here. I got about 3 to 4 more slides. And one of those is pretty important, but I wanted to catch this moment. If you have to leave, I apologize, I'll catch up with you. Please watch the video that Roger put out. So this is, I think, a good segue. So for those of you that have heard me talk on this, that's kind of my foot stomp, right? If we're doing things the same way with the same products, talking to soldiers' families, civilians, retirees, veterans, the whole list, using the same PowerPoint we did in 2008, with the same staff structure, with the same, you're a dinosaur. You are ineffective, you are not efficient. If we are not daily looking for opportunities to leverage, and I don't like using out-of-the-box thinking because it's out there, man. Off-post thinking, I'll say that. If you're not reading, look at civilian corporations, parallel programs, Disney, other innovative products that look out there that says, you know what, here's how I can better take care of soldiers, families, civilians, retirees, veterans, all throughout, then we're going to get passed up, and we're kind of getting there now, okay? So real quick, directors have heard this, and I'm hoping it is passed down to supervisors. So I had a kind of a 3-step program. First step to fix the way I think was the battle rhythm. We have instituted the battle rhythm. XO has had some growing pains and incurred some blisters from the friction that I've been applying. That was the battle rhythm. PIO has pushed out my first cut for me, and it will go to the directors. Tomorrow's Friday. It will go to them on the 16th, Monday, of vision. Okay, and so if you waited, if you haven't been paying attention, that's okay. So we got a new AMC commander, FORCECOM commander, right? They kind of run our lives. AMC pushed out their guidance. MCOM changed theirs. I have nested with them, and so if you look at the priorities of the Chief of Staff of the Army and how he speaks about garrisons and installations, taking care of soldiers' families, his priorities are spouse employment, child care operations, and moving as they pertain to us, PCSs, right? So we kind of have a little bit of part of all of that. When I say moving, it's like orders production, making sure soldiers and families know where they're going, and they have sponsorship programs when they get there. As I looked at those priorities, we developed a vision that's going to go out to the directors here next week for their cut. That creates what I am used to as a commander's dialogue. And so the directors come back to me and they go, okay, hey, I got the vision. Here's some milestones. Here's the way that this directorate will accomplish those goals over the next FY, right? Back brief me on that, we come to a contract. We say, yeah, Roger, that sounds good. We lay out those milestones that are, no kidding, measurable, okay? And I look at Bill Lukens because that's my hardest one. Because a lot of the services that you have are extremely hard to measure. I got that. And so we have to work through that. But I'll tell you, in early spring, and I'm looking right now on target date, February is what I'm putting on the ground. We're doing what the Department of the Army terms as night court, okay? And that's going to each directorate all the way down. And we're looking at where our people are at, where are we spending money, what are our budgets, and are they aligned for the customer base that we currently serve? That's it. It is not a riff. Everyone, we're going to repeat that on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
It is not a riff.
Okay? No. When I said that the first time, people are like, well, I got to start looking for a job. The hell you will? No. No. Okay? It is not a riff. All right? It's not the purpose. But if I look at a program and go, you know what? We do not have enough people there, man. I gotta look. It hasn't changed since 2009. I gotta look at what that really means. Is it hurting us? Is it helping us? Is it being efficient? And then I compare it to other installations, not for numbers, but for concepts, and go, how are they doing it? What makes sense? Oh, that's dumb. Okay, we'll keep this. And so we're going to take a hard look with your input, okay? With your input. That's the concept. I think that that's gonna take about 3 months to get through all the directorates, all right? I think we owe it to ourselves, and I think we owe it to the program. Jim, please.
On that line though, are you gonna take a hard look at things we're doing that we don't need to be doing?
Yep.
Okay.
And so it's a total look at our lovely thing, you know, that we term as CLS R. It's the same concept, man. But I gotta take a hard look at what this actually means and what I wanna assume risk in, because that's what it comes down to, okay? But right now, I know that there's some parts out there that we're spending money, and I got people working in places that I can probably leverage their expertise and capabilities elsewhere, that we have deficiencies in. And that's what I'm looking to do. I know that there's directorates out there that says, hey, I don't get enough money. And there's some directorates, you know, like DHR, that has too much money. But hey, so there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some movement. Okay, but I got to back it up, right? So in order to do those changes, I got to have a purpose. I got to have a vision, and go, hey man, the best way to get to the vision is now I got to change these people, change this money, change this structure, and move it out there. Okay, it is not a riff. I want to keep each and every one of you and everyone that works there. And I want to hire more people, okay? That's our goal, right? To continue to build a team of experts. So that's kind of the end state. All right, guys? All right, hey, let's hit these and we'll get you all out of here so you can get back to work. Oh, look at the slides. Okay, don't fall asleep. If y'all got to leave, I'm going to cut these off. Don't trip on the floor or the stairs, please. Okay, 2 highlights. Inclusion. I didn't know where to go where to go with that. I didn't know if that was meant, hey, and I'm not trying to be funny here. I don't know if that's like, hey, I wasn't invited to the office party, or I'm not included in the meeting that I should have been, or I didn't know where to take that. Remember, as Steve Bill said, who took this survey, right? So 200 and something, what was the number again for workforce?
Total 343.
Breakdown for supervisors, 68? 68 supervisors. Yeah, so.
No,
89.
89.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
246, okay? Okay, so inclusion. Supervisors. That's what it says. Any comments on that?
I'm with you, sir.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a blip. Hey, but I'd ask you to think about it, okay?
I think that's a part of, you know, taking all of the right information and receiving all the right information to get a decision. And if you're not included in being able to even provide the correct information, then you're not included. So that's not inclusion.
That's one of your comments from before, sir, was Hunter says decisions are being made and they weren't included in the process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good point.
Good point.
Yep. So I'm hoping to fix that with the way I've structured. I only got so much influence over the whole. And I can tell everyone don't show up tomorrow. That's not good, right? So when you talk influence at my levels, it's got to go through a couple chains of command before it hits our junior grade employees, right? And so remember who the audience is. The guys that I usually, when I say guys, you know what I'm talking about, our team here, right? The people I'm speaking to in inclusion, most of the time I'm talking to director level. I hope that they feel that they're included sometimes. And then a few supervisors, depending on what the subject is. And that's about as far as my counsel of, every now and then I'll go down the junior grades for questions on specific technological stuff, but that's where I'm at. And so I'd ask that you take a look at how, if you're going with Tom, how are we making decisions across the board? And are we including our workforce as we should? Concur, no concur, agree, yes?
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to. Okay. SA report knowledge, sexual assault reporting knowledge. Turn the lights back on. Hey, I saw that as a red flag. Okay? I saw that as a red flag. If you have not read the policy letter, right, so I have 0 tolerance for sexual harassment, for sexual assault. And that's not, it's not a political statement. That's Bryan Logan, Colonel Logan. That's no bullshit, right? So make sure everybody understands that, number one. But what concerns me is we don't have the reporting knowledge for that. And so right now I'm failing to provide resources and education to you and the workforce in total on how, if an incident occurs, how we take care of the alleged perpetrator and the victim. And I use the word alleged, right? So, because we let the system work, right? But there are some serious things that we have to execute as supervisors, as leaders in an organization to ensure our employees are taken care of. And I want to make sure that we are educated to that, to ensure it's done right, ensure it's done to standard, and there's no questions about that. So I've asked the team to kind of put together some stuff. I'm a subliminal kind of guy. So most employees go to the bathroom at least 2 or 3 times a day. You're going to see some signs up there. You're going to see some signs in community areas. I'm going to ask the directors to take a look at how we're projecting information. We're going to organize quarterly, and this isn't going to be the PowerPoint stuff, man. I hate PowerPoint classes where you just sit there and go to sleep. But we're going to have some interaction on sexual reporting procedures. So we are armed as we walk out the door to ensure we're taking care of our employees. Okay? I owe that to you with the actual scheduling and laydown, and more to follow. Yes, Ms. Key.
I have a comment about that. I just did the SHARP training, the new SHARP, that's the CES advanced course. How many people have done that? I've done a lot of SHARP training. That was actually the best thing I took away was the differentiation between the different types of the disclosure, the non-disclosure, it was actually some of the best training ever. So I would have to tell you that if that's an issue, at the very least, everyone needs to complete their CES SHARP training that is on our...
The required mandatory training.
But it's still confusing, Robin, because there's two. Is it a reportable, non-reportable? Is it sealed, open?
No, if you've done the training.
Do the training.
If you've done the training.
Yes, sir, but not the advanced course.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is it's the best training that I've seen related to this. And I've done a lot of training over the years, face-to-face and stuff. It's actually pretty decent and very clear in the different types of reporting and who can report to whom. So that's a plug on training, for training.
Thank you, Ms. King.
So that's our selling point. We're going to get it done, okay? So expect the first of the year when y'all come back, we're going to have a training plan that lays that stuff out for us, all right?
Sure.
And we'll kick that. That's my priority.
I would recommend that we separate civilians from soldiers.
No. So that was the other point.
We've been to.
Yep.
The guy is extremely engaging. I mean, he keeps your attention.
This one does that.
But I'm not interested in getting some of you 4 liquored up and taking, okay, this is not happening in my lifetime. So, that's what he talks about. And I'm going, no, we can talk about our situation.
Yeah.
What examples of people that have done wrong things, examples of people that have done right things, and you just can't get there when we've got, you know, a company of soldiers.
Sir.
Well, I don't think we can separate because we work around soldiers on a regular basis. I can tell you from experience, there was a service member who was being sexually assaulted by a civilian employee, and he was sexually assaulting a number of service members over a course of 3 years. No one said a thing because they were afraid, because they felt like the civilian employee was untouchable. Where was that? This was at Cherry Point, North Carolina. Well, excuse me, New River, North Carolina. So it wasn't here, but the individual sexually assaulted some Marines over a course of a period of time, and the last individual spoke up and said, hey, he's been groping us, tackling us down on the ground and humping on us, and I'm being for real. And the outcome was, why did no one report it? Because, that's what I said. And no one, they thought that the civilian was untouchable. They thought that he could not.
My guys think the current format with the theater is ineffective, and they're not able to get my supervisors the specifics about the civilian rules, the civilian regulations versus the sermonette.
And that training covers that. It differentiates the military channel and the civilian channel. That's why I said it was decent.
I think they both should teach both.
No, and that's, so what I'd like to do is it's gonna be a way ahead geared specifically for this audience, okay? Our audience as civilian employees. I concur, it's different. We do have a few younger soldiers in, in HHC as our chaplain's assistants, and we have boss employees. But yeah, there's some specific details that I want to talk about with the civilian workforce, and that's how I kind of want to gear these classes. And Jim, continue.
And that comes back to procedures, sir. We should be the spearhead in changing that across the enterprise. Having one that's
Just civilians? Yeah.
Civilians that include the military ramification, but is designed for civilians.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Include some aspects.
Next slide. That's the way ahead. I think I've covered those. What did I miss here? Monitoring communications flow. Soft skills training. Rashid, you want to talk to that?
Yes, sir. So the soft skills training is designed so that the supervisor, both junior and senior supervisors, understand their workforce. It's geared towards more or less the drop-by drop of microeconomics.
Microaggressions.
Microaggressions. I'm sorry, I have a headache really bad right now. I'm still trying to recover from the cold. Microaggressions. Not only that, but also understanding who your individuals are. We have a lot of activities or exercises that we introduce that kind of speaks to your environment or your work environment and how to efficiently communicate with them. Because oftentimes, again, like Mr. Jeffers said, that people have difficulties outside of the gate that they bring inside the gate, and sometimes we don't always have a means or ability to communicate with them. So a lot of soft skill training is designed so that you understand exactly who the individuals that are you're working with, where they come from, the background, and then how to communicate past those areas. Cool. Thank you. Okay, I think that's the last slide, right? Yeah. Hey, first and foremost, thank you for what you do every day. I know I've said that several times, probably to you guys, but I hope you hear it, and I hope it resonates. So as you go into the holidays, those of you that are taking leave, please be safe. Check up on each other, even if you don't feel like you're part of the family. Make a phone call. Check up on your buddies, okay? But more importantly, spend time at home and make it quality time, because you never know how much we have left, right? So thank you again for everything you do. Please be safe. I don't think I'll be able to see most of you until next year. And so I'll be around on post. My door is always open. You know my phone number. You know my email. You know where I work. So if something's bothering you, please come see me. And then the last thing I'd say is everything that we talked about in here does not stay in here, okay? You got to help spread the word. You got to help educate the workforce. You got to talk about it. Because if you don't, then it just dies, and we never change any damn thing. I don't want to talk about the same stuff we did here next year when we do another command climate survey. All right. We got to continually evolve. All right. So we're all part of that team. So please help me with that. All right. Thank you all again. Take care. Be safe. We'll see you next week.